Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Hey everybody, Cowboy here. We're going to do the weekend market forecast for this week. We're going to take a look at the charts for Bitcoin, Solana, EURUSD, GBPUSD, USDJPY, GBPJPY. We're going to look at the SP500 Futures, the Dow Futures, NASDAQ Futures, gold, and silver. First, we're going to take a look at all of the economic data that's going to get announced that can do things to the markets. So let's jump over to Forex Factory right now. Okay, so Monday the 17th, the USD and CAD both have a bank holiday, so probably not a lot going to happen. And you're going to see some data come out for Australia, their cash rate, monetary policy statements. So if you are trading any of the Aussie pairs, you could see some volatility, and that's going to be about 10:30 p.m. EST. And right at the European Open, the British are going to talk about their employment or unemployment data, so that could push the pound around. And the Bank of England Governor Bailey is going to speak 2.5 hours after that. If you're trading the loonie, CPI data is going to come out. That can get pretty volatile at 8:30 a.m. EST on Tuesday. Later that day, we got Trump speaking. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't have a time for that. So Tuesday could be a little funky. It just depends on what Trump says. He may not say anything. It's kind of a landmine. I would be pretty careful and protect positions. Hopefully, we get a little bit more data as to when he's going to speak before he does. More data coming out, 7:30 p.m. EST for Aussie, their wage price index. And then the Kiwi has their policy statement, cash rate, and rate statement coming out at 8 p.m. EST. The press conference an hour after that. GBP's CPI, so for the pound, right at the European Open, that can be pretty volatile. So I'd watch out for that. You've got the FOMC minutes the next day, so Wednesday at 2 p.m. EST. So for the dollar and for pretty much any market, that can put some volatility into the market. It just depends on what is spoken when the minutes for the FOMC meeting the prior week are revealed. You have some more Aussie data. Their unemployment data comes out at 7:30 p.m. EST. Thursday, we have unemployment claims, as we do every Thursday or most Thursdays at 8:30 a.m. EST. We have Governor Bullock speaking for the Royal Bank of Australia. That's going to happen at 5:30 p.m. EST. European Open retail sales data coming out for GBP. So pretty much almost every night this week at the European Open, you're going to have some British pound data that's going to put some volatility into their market for their currencies and probably for the FTSE. We do have some European and American and British data. All the PMIs come out on Friday, and it's kind of spread out through that whole evening. The European Open shortly thereafter, and then you have the Canadian data coming out at 8:30 a.m. EST, US PMI data coming out at 9:45 a.m. EST. So Friday could be interesting. And then at 12:30 EST, Bank of Canada Governors Macklin will speak, and that's pretty close to market close. I know a lot of traders, especially currency traders, will be out of the market by then. Just be careful of all these items because they can push your trade into a stop loss. They can also provide a lot of volatility to the market, so you can take advantage of the volatility that those provide. Let's go ahead and jump into the charts and take a look at Bitcoin. As we did last week, we're going to only forecast out to Wednesday, and just a reminder that there are surprises. What I'm showing here is not information that I use to trade directly on, right? If I map something out for the next few days, it's not something I'm going to use for my trades. It's just something to kind of show me which way I think the wind is blowing. And basically, I do think right now, at least until Monday, we won't see a lot of action in the cryptos. So Bitcoin will probably go sideways. If it were to break out, I would guess that it's going to break out downside and head down to 90. That might not happen at all. It might not happen until after FOMC minutes happens on Wednesday, which is when these forecasts all stop in this video. We're just going to have to see how that plays out. This is a 10-day long consolidation, and whichever side it breaks out, nobody knows until it happens. Consolidations are such that price will go back and forth in a range, and it may break up, it may break down. The only real clue that we have, besides waiting for it to happen, is going to be higher time frame stuff, and right now the higher time frame data is just a tad bearish for Bitcoin. The super high time frame is bullish, but right now there seems to be a need for Bitcoin to come back and reset. So if I had to bet on which side it would break, it would be downside, but I wouldn't be making my trades based on that. I would use algorithms and other items to make those trades. So just a brief kind of macro look at Bitcoin, and Solana is going to be similar. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have a range for Solana going back to a similar time. Could break downside, could break topside. I don't think it would break topside anytime terribly soon. I might wait until at least late on Sunday, early on Monday for that to happen, but I do expect a downside breakout more than upside. But Solana is a little different. If Bitcoin can find an equilibrium, even if it's a short-term equilibrium, Solana could break upside because it's very popular, it's used a lot, and when Bitcoin calms down, a lot of times money goes into the alts, right? So we could see that happen. Let's move on to Forex markets with EURUSD. So the euro actually ended up heading upwards out of its consolidation. I really thought it would break downside, and even the algos were hinting at that, but this just goes to show you that in a long-term consolidation, or even a short-term one, the breakout is not necessarily something you want to predict, because price really met some pretty strong support as soon as the FOMC came out and the CPI data. When those two data came out, the direction of these currencies really flipped, and it really had more to do, I think, with the dollar rather than to do with the euro. And the British pound is going to be similar to the euro in this regard. I do think we're going to see some sideways action all the way up to FOMC minutes. Price could break up past this prior resistance right here. I wouldn't bet on it. I would let price do what it's going to do until it touches a resistance. So I do think price will pull back to this support that it has been created over the past couple months, and I think we'll see a slow move up until that resistance that we saw right up here at $1.534. And whether it breaks up or down is not really my problem. The algos will tell me at that time which is more likely, and I'll trade accordingly. But I do think we might see a few nice opportunities to day trade some of these moves, and I probably would be going long as opposed to short just based on the algos. And the British pound is going to look similar, so let's take a look at that. GBPUSD breaking out of its consolidation with a bit more bullishness. While it could pull down to this lower support area of $1.2477, I don't think it's going to do that. I think it'll pull down to this $1.2534, maybe even a little bit higher, and start to make its way back up. So I do expect similar to the euro, but a little bit more bullish on that. Okay, let's take a look at the USDJPY. USDJPY continues to be a bit bearish. We did have a nice pullback on the way down from this much higher time frame move, but the higher time frame bearishness does continue to push. I do expect USDJPY to eventually come down, but at the moment it does look like it's probably going to grab a little liquidity off of this consolidation right here. Perhaps pop up, grab some love up here, grab some liquidity really from this area back here, and then head back down. So I do expect a short-term sideways or even a move up and a move down, but it could be that the bears are so strong that price simply heads down, and that's why we have these contingencies right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the beast GBPJPY. Obviously, the beast doesn't have that USD component to it. I do expect it to slowly kind of just head down. I expect sideways to down action. That, of course, could not happen. It might be that we see a quick pop-up to grab a little more liquidity from what is this pivot point up here at about 193.18. But right now, I expect sideways to down action to Wednesday. Let's look at the SP500 Futures. Now, the indices have shown a lot of resilience in the face of what has been some pretty interesting market moves and all the Trump stuff and everything else. And I do expect another week of just kind of an edge upwards, right? At least until Wednesday, until the minutes come out. I expect possibly a new all-time high or a rejection at those highs going into Wednesday for the SP500. Let's take a look at the Dow. Dow Jones not quite as bullish. It was more bullish before. Now it is taking a break, so it does seem like it will either go sideways or down to sideways, grab a little liquidity down here around the 44,375 area. I think it'll head up and either test this 45,120 or even break it into Wednesday. We'll just see how much energy the Dow can gather up until that time. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has lately been a bit more bullish than the rest of the indices. It's now at this all-time high that it made back in December, and it looks like it's ready to test and break that. So I expect a break of that, a pull back to that, and a move up into Wednesday. While many other things can happen, that's the most likely move. Let's see what happens as the week plays out. Now, as V the Gorilla did warn us in the live Algo Factory, there was going to be a slam down on gold and silver, and the algos were not talking much about that until it actually happened. So V the Gorilla is really very, very good at knowing what's going to happen with a lot of things, precious metals among them, because he is a pretty big player in that game, and he did tell us that by the end of the week, last week, we should start to see the metals start to take a hit, and take a hit they did. Now, if I were to purely listen to the algos, we would have expected either sideways or up, but V the Gorilla did know what was going to happen, and gold went ahead and made us move back down. So for the moment, we do have a little bit more data on what's going to happen with precious metals, with gold and silver over the next couple of months. And if you want that data, come to algofactory.tech, because we talk about that at least once a week and usually a few times a week with V the Gorilla, who he knows what's going on. No one's going to know what's going on better than somebody who is in that market in a big way. I do expect this to head down by Wednesday to probably the 28.50 area. It could go down to about 28.35. That would be a low point prior to that, and then we'll see what the FOMC minutes markets do. Let's take a quick look at silver. It's going to be pretty similar, but a little bit different. So silver had a strong move up to 33.2 and really got slammed down. A lot of people love silver. It's a bit more volatile than gold at times. I do expect silver to head down, bounce probably at 31.20 or so, maybe grab liquidity, maybe not, and head down. And I think by Wednesday, we're going to see it at the bottom of this prior sort of mini consolidation or at the top of this other range that we saw back the week before. And I do expect that to come down and possibly bounce at $30.96. That's $30.96 or so. It might even drop down all the way down to that 30 handle. So let's see how it does. Again, I think all bets are off after Wednesday. We'll see what happens. And again, Trump is the wild card. You can say just about anything that could really push markets around. There's tariff news. There's a lot of headline risk in trading. And a lot of people are kind of complaining about that because it messes up their trades. However, what we have to do, and we'll show you how to do this at algofactory.tech, is we got to take advantage of that volatility. So what'll happen is something will happen unexpectedly in the news, maybe Trump will say something, and the charts will make a move that we did not expect. Now, as that happens, there tends to be a lot of volatility. Once that move is digested, the market can either take a new direction or it can revert to the prior direction. Now, the algos are very good at predicting which way that's going to go, and we teach you how to build those algos so you can make those predictions. And anytime you can tell the future in markets, or at least predict it to a statistical degree of probability, you can make money in this game. So come over to algofactory.tech. We'll show you all this stuff. It's really simple. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's actually a lot of work, right? But work ethic is where people fail. It's really simple, just like a marathon is simple. Putting one foot in front of the other is very simple, but it's not very easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it. Same kind of thing with learning how to trade properly, trading like an adult. So come on over to algofactory.tech, learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro, and we will see you Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp. Thanks for watching.